The verdict no one believed. Hey, night listener. Tonight, we enter the shadows. The courtroom lights buzz overhead like dying flies. Rain taps at the narrow windows, echoing in sync with your pulse. The jurors file in like ghosts from a memory you don't want back, and every creak of their shoes on the wood floor feels deliberate, like a ritual you weren't supposed to survive. Outside, a street lamp flickers behind stained glass. Inside, 12 strangers prepare to speak in one voice. You already know what they'll say. You don't know how, but you do. The room goes still. The foreman stands. Her hands don't shake. We, the jury, find the defendant not guilty. The words hang like smoke. Your breath catches. You don't even realize you're on your feet until you feel your nails digging into the railing. But you're not the only one who doesn't move. She doesn't either. The mother of the girl, still as stone, not blinking, not breathing. You don't know her personally, but you've watched her every day of this trial. Every eye twitch, every jaw clench, every time she looked away when he spoke. And now she's staring at him, eyes sharp, almost satisfied. And he smiles, too soon, too wide, as if someone whispered the verdict before the jury ever returned. You glance at the judge. He doesn't look up from the paper in front of him, doesn't react, doesn't move. You wonder if he's even awake. Then your gaze catches something else. The court reporters screen. The transcript isn't keeping up. Lines lag behind, skipping. You lean in. One line flickers, then vanishes. Your skin crawls, because you saw what it said before it blinked out. He lied. We all lied. Except him. You knew, but pretended you didn't. The gavel slams. Case closed. Court adjourned. But the lie, it lingers. Outside, people cheer. Reporters shout. Cameras flash. But the mother just sits there, still not blinking. And then, finally, she stands. You expect grief, tears, maybe rage. But what you get is worse. She smiles, just slightly, like a secret has been kept, like justice wasn't what she came for. You back away. Everyone starts to leave, but you feel watched, not by her, not by him, but by something else, a presence that stayed behind in the courtroom like a memory that refused to fade. You look back at the witness stand. There, under the seat, barely visible, a single glove. Not evidence, not bagged, just left, waiting. And you remember, there wasn't a glove in the original report. Not one. So, where did it come from? And more importantly, why is it your size? Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. You reach down, but don't touch it, because suddenly you feel the weight of eyes again, not from the gallery, not from the stand, but from the mirror behind the jury box. And in it, your reflection smiles before you do. It was never about the truth. It was about control. And someone just took it from you. The woman who didn't blink. The courthouse empties like a theater. After the final curtain slow, at first. Then suddenly, as if someone yelled, "Fire," and only you didn't hear it. You remain seated, staring at the glove beneath the witness chair, wondering if anyone else saw it, if anyone else even could. You don't reach for it, not yet, because you're still thinking about her, the mother, the one who never blinked. She's already gone from the courtroom, but her presence lingers, etched into the wood grain of the gallery bench, tucked in the still air where her breath should have been. You step into the hallway. It smells like wet wool, dust, and old coffee. You see the defendant, Daniel Markson, standing near the elevator with his lawyer, laughing, not relief, amusement. as if he wasn't on trial for the murder of a 17-year-old girl whose body was never found, as if he was never in danger. Your pulse stutters because you remember the moment the girl's mother took the stand. She didn't cry, didn't shake, didn't plead. She just looked around the room like she was waiting for someone to interrupt. Did your daughter have enemies? They asked. She stared at the prosecutor, silent. Did she know Mr. Markson well? Nothing. No answer. Just a slow inhale through the nose. Eyes forward. No blink. The court called it trauma. You called it something else. A refusal to play the game. You slip into the stairwell. You don't know where you're going yet, but your feet take you downward. Lower. Deeper. The basement records room is dark. Motion lights flicker awake as you push the door open. You search the file drawers, past trial notes, crime scene photos, and evidence logs. You find her name Lena Dorrance, her daughter Eli Dorrance, missing, presumed dead. No body, no blood, just a broken cell phone and a single voicemail. He said it wasn't personal. No date, no origin. You lean back against the metal filing cabinet, close your eyes. Then you remember something. She never swore the oath. Everyone who takes the stand swears in. You watched each one. But the mother, they called her. She walked up, sat down, and they skipped it. Not intentional, just overlooked. You checked your notes, the transcript. It says oath administered, but you were there and it wasn't. So, if she never took the oath, she never had to lie. You freeze. Someone's watching you. You glance toward the corner of the records room. There's a round mirror up in the ceiling. Standard security. But instead of seeing your own reflection, you see hers, the mother, standing beside the evidence box upstairs, hand hovering over the glove. As if it's hers, you whirl around. Nothing there. You rush back upstairs. But when you reach the courtroom again, it's empty, except for the glove. Still untouched, still waiting. And this time, you notice something else. A thin red thread snagged on the corner of the witness box. You follow it down to the floor. And there, scrawled in pen across the wood, we all lie differently. You knew, but pretended you didn't. You reach for the glove, turn it over. Inside, stitched into the lining, a name, yours. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. And suddenly, the courtroom doesn't feel like a place you visited. It feels like a place you've already stood trial. It was never about the truth. It was about control. And someone else is pulling the thread. A glove that wasn't hers. You take the glove with you. You don't know why. Not exactly. But leaving it behind feels wrong. Like abandoning the only sentence in a book that was written just for you. Outside, the rain hasn't stopped. It's louder now, angrier. It pelts your jacket as you walk from the courthouse. Glove shoved deep in your pocket like a secret that won't wait for permission. The cab ride home is silent. No radio, just the sound of wet tires and the driver humming something old and off-key. You keep your eyes on the rearview mirror because your reflection doesn't blink, and you're not sure anymore if that's your habit or someone else's. In your apartment, everything feels slightly rearranged. Nothing stolen, nothing broken, just moved. The picture frame on the mantel is tilted left instead of right. The clock above your bed has stopped 2:17, and the glass of water on your desk is full. You didn't fill it. You check the locks, all deadbolts, secure. Then you notice something on the floor. A single sheet of paper, slid halfway under your front door. You unfold it. It's a photocopy. A courtroom photograph. The jury, seated. The judge, slouched. The defendant, Daniel Markson, smiling. And in the far back corner of the image, you, sitting, not in the gallery, not near the press box, but in the jury box. You swear you weren't selected. You weren't even called for jury duty this year. You flipped the photo over in pen, scrawled messy and fast. This is the version where you forget. You knew, but pretended you didn't. You toss the paper on the desk and pull out the glove again. It's leather, worn, but the stitching is pristine. The inside label, M.C., your initials. But you've never owned this, never worn gloves like this. You put it on. It fits perfectly. But as you flex your fingers, a small object inside the lining shifts. You dig it out. It's a tiny jagged piece of glass, blue tinted, the kind used in rear view mirrors. You turn it over. One edge has a smear of something dried dark brown, dried blood. You try to calm your thoughts, but the reflection in the glass isn't yours. It's her, the mother, Lena Dorrance. She's standing behind you in the reflection. You spin around. No one. You drop the shard. It lands on your desk, shattering quietly. A single sliver stays intact. It reflects a small part of your bookshelf. You glance over at it, but something's missing. A book. The trial notebook you kept during the proceedings. Gone. You never lent it out. Never misplaced it. And that's when you notice something even worse. The photograph of Lena and her daughter, the one she held on the stand. It's in your trash bin, torn in half. You don't remember taking it. You don't remember bringing it home. But there it is, and your fingerprints are all over it. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. You rush to your bathroom, splash cold water on your face, look in the mirror. It's fogging up, even though there's no steam. You wait and watch. Letters begin forming in the condensation. Ask her what you said the first time. What first time the mirror doesn't answer, but your phone buzzes. A text from an unknown number. You lied under oath, just not this time. And suddenly, you don't remember which case this was, or how many there have been. It was never about the truth. It was about control, and you're losing it. The photograph that shouldn't exist. You don't sleep. How could you? The mirror still fogs with messages you don't remember reading. Your reflection watches you longer than it should. And every time you close your eyes, you see that glove, your glove gripping something in the dark you can't quite name. So at 3:12 a.m., you leave the apartment. The rain has stopped, but the streets shine like mirrors left behind by a storm that wanted to remember you. You head to the place where it all started, the courthouse archives. Not the legal ones, the media ones. You pull strings, flash credentials, lie convincingly enough to get access to the trial footage. They make you sign a logbook. Your hand shakes. The pen rolls off the desk after you sign. You don't bother to pick it up. Inside the viewing room, it's just you and a wall of screens. You load the footage, jury selection, opening statements, cross-examination, and then her, Lena Dorrance, taking the stand. You lean in. There it is again. No oath, just a flicker in the video, a moment skipped, like someone cut the frame. You rewind, slow it down, frame by frame. You notice something this time just before she sits. A man in the back of the courtroom lifts a camera. Not an official photographer. No press badge. Just a man in a gray coat, taking a single photo. You pause on his face. It's blurry, distorted, but familiar. Too familiar. You print the still frame, crop in, carry it home. You dig out the old photo album your mother left behind, the one filled with unlabeled pictures of people she claimed were family friends. Page 14. There he is. Same man, same coat. Only this photo's dated 1986, 38 years ago. And the note written under it, keep him away from the windows. Your blood turns to ice, because now you remember the night before the verdict. You did see someone at your window, just a shadow, but it lingered too long. You dig through your coat pocket, find the tiny shard of mirror again. You hold it up, and for just a second, you swear you see the man from the photo, staring back, but behind him, in the mirror, a window, rain sliding down the glass, and someone inside the room. You lower the shard, turn. Your apartment is empty, except for the desk, and on the desk, a photograph, one you've never seen before. But it's old, faded, the edges are burned, and in the center, Lena Dorrance, standing in front of the very courthouse she testified in, only it's abandoned, boarded up, cracks in the pillars, weeds through the steps. You flip it over. In cursive handwriting, she always lies in the same place. You knew, but pretended you didn't. You hold the photo up to the light. There's something beneath the surface, faint, like a second exposure. You tilt it, and there, barely visible, is a figure standing at the window of the courthouse, watching, wearing your coat. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. You drop the photo, grab your phone, dial Lena's number. She doesn't answer, but a voice picks up, soft, familiar. You shouldn't have found that photo. You freeze. Who is this? But you already know, because the voice is your own. It was never about the truth. It was about control, and someone's already rewritten your part. You were there, weren't you? The line goes dead, but the silence that follows feels occupied, like someone else is still on the call, still listening, still deciding. You drop the phone like it burned you. It doesn't hit the floor. It lands on the desk directly on top of the photo you just found. And in the photo, the man in your coat is now facing you, his head slightly tilted, like he's waiting for you to confess something. You back away slowly. Every breath you take feels borrowed. Every inch of your apartment feels like it belongs to someone else now. You open the fridge. The light flickers. Something metallic rolls inside. You reach in. It's a key, not yours, wrapped in plastic evidence tape. Attached to it, a yellow sticky note. You were never just an observer. You stagger backward. Your memory claws at something some moment you've tried to keep locked away. A late night, flashing lights, mud on your hands. No one ever asked you where you were the night she disappeared. You weren't important enough to question. You were just the note-taker, the juror, the forgotten witness. But what if you weren't? You grab your coat, pocket the key, and head for the garage. Your car sits in the dark like it's been waiting. You open the glove compartment. Inside, a torn piece of fabric, plaid, like the scarf Lena wore the first day of trial. You touch it, and suddenly it hits you. You were there, not in the courtroom, not in the gallery, but before, the night it happened. You saw the girl, Eli, running, crying. You were in your car. You were watching. You were supposed to call someone, but you didn't. You stayed in the shadows because you knew who she was running from, and you knew what it would cost to admit you recognized him. You knew, but pretended you didn't. The man from the photo, from the window, Daniel Markson. But back then, he wasn't on trial. He was your friend. You drive without checking the GPS. Your hands know where to go. Old instincts, half memories, The road leads you out of town, past the edge of the map, to the lake house, the one that burned down years ago. But when you arrive, it's standing, unscorched, untouched, lights glowing from inside. You park, step out. The gravel crunches beneath your shoes. The air smells of pine and paper. There's a single car in the driveway, an old gray sedan. You approach the front door. It's already open. You step inside. The house is warm, too warm. There's a fire in the hearth, a record playing low in the background, and on the mantel, a framed photo. Lena, Eli, you, together, smiling. You don't remember that photo being taken. You don't remember ever being close to them. But there it is, proof. The photograph shouldn't exist, but neither should this house. And in the reflection of the glass, behind your shoulder, you see movement, someone standing in the hallway, watching, not moving, not breathing, just waiting. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. Your phone buzzes again. A new message from unknown. It's time to testify. Again, it was never about the truth. It was about control. And your trial never ended. The judge who never looked up. You step into the hallway. It stretches far longer than it should, too long for a house this size. Walls lined with old frames, photos that warp the more you look at them. People's faces half erased, eyes scratched out, shadows overlapping in places. Shadows don't belong. At the very end, a door, heavy, carved with symbols that feel familiar in your bone, but meaningless to your brain. It's ajar. Inside nothing but a chair, a table, and a single object placed neatly in the center, a gavel. Your hand hovers over it, but the air is too still. You feel like speaking might wake something that's been asleep for too long. You sit, the walls creak, the door swings shut behind you with a slow, ceremonial groan. On the far side of the room, behind a curtain, you hear typing, deliberate, measured. You don't see anyone there, but the rhythm is wrong, like someone is copying you in real time. Then a voice crackles from a speaker above your head. State your name for the record. You hesitate. You aren't sure anymore. Do it, the voice says again. Not angry, just tired. You clear your throat. Speak your name. The room doesn't react. Instead, the voice continues. Do you swear to tell the truth? No oath this time. Just a question. And somehow, that's worse. The voice grows quiet. Then, let the record show. The witness hesitated. You stand up, but the chair doesn't move with you. You look down. It's empty. You were never in it. Or maybe you're still sitting. And this, you is the one testifying without realizing it. You back toward the door, but something stops you. A sound, paper fluttering. From the floor below, you descend a narrow staircase, new, unexpected. Every step creaks louder than it should. You enter what looks like an old courtroom, but everything is reversed. The jury box sits above the judge. The gallery faces a blank wall. The witness stand is missing. At the judge's bench sits a figure, black robe, motionless, head bowed over a yellow legal pad, a broken pen clutched in his right hand. You step closer. He doesn't move. His fingers twitch once, then again. The closer you get, the more wrong it feels, like gravity is tilted. You circle the bench to see his face, and then you freeze. It's yours. You dressed as a judge, lips sewn shut with thin red thread, eyes open but blind, and across the front of the bench, scrawled in chalk, this version doesn't get to look up. You stagger backward, Knock over a stack of paper. It scatters across the floor. Transcripts, trial notes, but the dates are all wrong. Some from 10 years ago, some from trials you don't remember, and one dated tomorrow. You read the first line, testimony begins. Subject unaware. Truth will be suggested in layers. You flip to the last page. It's signed, not by you, by Lena, in small, looping cursive. He'll lie. He always does, until it hurts enough to stop. You knew, but pretended you didn't. The figure in the judge's chair begins to tilt forward, collapsing. The thread in his lips splits open. He breathes just once, and in your voice, raspy and hollow, we let him go. Because you asked us to. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. You stumble from the room. Light flares behind you. Something burns, but you don't look back, because you can feel it now. It was never about the truth. It was about control. And you're not in the courtroom anymore. You're under it. He smiled too soon. You surface from the undercourt like waking from a dream that left claw marks in your chest. The lake house is quiet again. Too quiet. Like the house knows what you saw and doesn't want to speak of it. You step outside. The sky is dark, but it's not night. Clouds cover everything. Thick, low, moving too slowly to be natural. There's no wind, no bird song, just the faint metallic hum of your own thoughts echoing back at you. Your phone buzzes once. No number, just a message. Check your coat pocket. Left side. You do. There's something there now. A cassette tape. No label. Just a single symbol drawn in red marker. You don't own a cassette player anymore, but the lake house does. In the corner of the living room, beside the record player, sits an old tape deck, dustless, plugged in, as if it's been waiting for you this whole time. You insert the tape, press play. At first, static, then the sound of a courtroom, chairs shuffling, a throat clearing, then mist. Markson, did you know the victim? Your own voice from the gallery, audible even though you never spoke. He smiled. Why is he smiling? And then, laughter. Not his, yours. The tape crackles again. Then silence. Then a woman's voice. Lena's, flat, controlled, brutal. He always smiles before the lie, because it's the only part that's rehearsed. You pause the tape. The silence that follows feels conscious, like something is holding its breath with you. You rewind, re-listen. It's there again, that half-second pause before the verdict, that sharp inhale from the gallery, and Markson's smile. It wasn't relief. It was recognition. He knew he was walking before the verdict was spoken. And you know why now. Because you asked him to smile. The memory hits like a freight train. A bar, 6 months before the trial. A drink, 2, 3. You were angry that night. Not at him, at her. Lena, you tried to help. She wouldn't let you. You told him. You warned him she was dangerous. You were just venting. But that night, Eli vanished. And he smiled the next day. Too soon. You knew, but pretended you didn't. You finished the tape. The last sound is a ticking noise, faint, metallic, rhythmic, a clock, but not just any clock, the one from the courthouse lobby. You remember it because the minute hand twitched every second like it was trying to snap free. That ticking plays for 26 seconds. Then a whisper, look under the seat. The tape ejects itself. You turn. The seat where you'd been sitting earlier now has a tear in the cushion. You reach beneath, a folder, legal paper, transcripts, affidavits, photos, and a post-it note attached to the front. Everyone lied on the stand, except the one who should have. You open the folder. On the first page, a timeline, the night of Eli's disappearance. Your name appears 5 times, but in court, you were never listed as a witness. You were never asked a single question because someone took your name off the list. There's a signature at the bottom of the form, Lena's. You sit in the stillness, folder in your lap, glove in your pocket, tape in your hand. The smile makes sense now. He knew he'd win because you handed him the one thing she wouldn't: silence. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. You put the folder down and notice something scribbled in the corner of the coffee table, carved deep into the wood. You testified. You just don't remember how loud it was. It was never about the truth. It was about control. And the smile was the only warning you got. The clock was ticking backward. You return to the courthouse. Not as a visitor this time. You slip in through the loading dock, where they bring in boxed exhibits and leave with things no one claims. Security is light. You're not on any list. But somehow, you're always allowed in. You follow the long hallway to the main atrium. It's 2:17 p.m. The lobby clock reads 3:41. Then mutters 3:40. You freeze. The second hand is moving backward, not ticking, winding in slow, deliberate reverse. You stare at it for so long your eyes ache. Then, a flicker of motion. Behind the clock face, you see something, no, someone, a silhouette, moving inside the clock tower. You push through the emergency stairwell and climb, floor after floor. Each landing feels thinner, less real. You hear your breath echo, but not in sync. When you reach the top, the door to the clock room creaks open without resistance. Inside, dust, old gears, and a chair facing the window. In it, Lena, but not quite her. This version is younger, hair shorter, eyes wilder, dressed in the clothes you remember from the day Eli went missing. She turns to look at you. You're late. You step forward. This isn't real. You mutter, but she smiles, not kindly. Neither was the trial. You glance at the machinery behind her. The gears are turning the wrong way, pulling time backward by sheer force. How did you stop the clock? She stands, picks up a photograph from the windowsill. It's the one you threw away, the one torn in half, now whole again. She hands it to you. You turn it over. On the back, you were the first person Eli ran to. Your throat tightens because you remember. You remember a knock on your door, rain in her hair, blood on her hands, terror in her voice. But you sent her away. You said you'd help, and you didn't, because you knew who she was running from, and you didn't want it to be true. You knew, but pretended you didn't. She trusted you, Lena whispers, but so did he. You step backward. The room tilts slightly. The gears creak louder, grinding, screaming. The clock hands spin in full circles, now unraveling minutes, undoing testimony, pulling the lie taut. You drop the photo. It lands face up, and the picture has changed. It's now a courtroom sketch of you, at the witness stand, smiling, just like he did. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. You reach for the control box near the clock gears. There's a lever marked reset. You hesitate. Will it fix anything? Lena shakes her head. No, but at least you'll see it all this time. You pull the lever. The clock stops. For just 1 second, silence reigns. Then, bong. A bell tolls from somewhere deep below. 1, then 2, then 3. You count all 12 chimes. Midnight, though the sun outside hasn't moved. A new text buzzes in your pocket. From unknown, the next witness is you. Again. You look back at the clock face. Your reflection is in it now, but it's not moving with you. It watches, and it smiles too soon. It was never about the truth. It was about control. And you've given up both. A note, written in her handwriting. You descend the courthouse stairs like someone stepping backward into a memory they didn't choose to keep. Every floor feels colder. Every echo louder than it should be, like the building itself is holding its breath. By the time you reach the lobby again, the backwards ticking clock has stopped. Dead center, 3 thuzwood sharp. You step into the gallery outside courtroom B. It's empty now, mostly. At the far end, near the judge's bench, you spot a folder resting alone on the defense table. You don't remember it being there. It's unmarked. You approach, and as you reach for it, you notice a yellow post-it stuck to the cover, handwritten, slanted cursive. You recognize the script instantly. Lena's. But it isn't a message to someone else. It's addressed to you. This is the first time you'll read this, not the first time I've left it. You open the folder. Inside 3 sheets of paper. The first is a statement, a confession, not signed by Daniel Markson, not by Lena, but by Eli. You don't understand at first. You stare at the handwriting, the loopy E's, the crossed out words, the heart instead of a dot on the I in her name. You've seen this before, in the yearbook, in the trial photos, on the missing posters. But this letter is dated 2 days after she was declared legally dead. You flip to the second page. It's a typed transcript. It begins, "They said I'd feel safe. I didn't. They said he'd protect me. He didn't." And then, halfway down, he told me to lie, told me I had to disappear, said if I didn't, you'd be the next to vanish. You freeze. You mention directly. The hairs on your neck lift like a verdict being whispered behind glass. You don't remember being warned, but maybe you forgot on purpose. The third sheet is a photograph, low res, security cam, time stamped. It shows the courthouse lobby, Eli, standing alone, facing the wall where the clock hangs. She's holding a folded piece of paper. You recognize the coat she's wearing. It's yours. Your head spins. You stagger back and sit on the gallery bench. And that's when you notice the note, folded and wedged under your seat. You pull it out, open it, same slanted handwriting, same pressure on the pen, same heart over the I. But it's not addressed to anyone, not formally. It simply reads, "You did what you had to do. That's why I made sure they never asked you. But they will now." The courtroom walls feel like they're closing in. Not fast, just steady. You stand, approach the judge's bench. There, in the corner, is a file drawer you didn't know existed. Unlocked. You pull it open. Inside, hundreds of notes. Every single one written in the same hand. Same message. You've already read this. You pull the first one. The paper is warm, used, like it's been handled too many times. The ink runs in places. Your name is written across the top. Then beneath it, "Tell them the truth before the story resets again." You knew, but pretended you didn't. You close the drawer, and there etched into the underside of the bench is something new, something raw and recent, carved by a penknife. Your initials, next to hers, E+M. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. You feel your phone buzz in your coat. One more message. They think the next testimony will be yours. And underneath it, a final line. It won't be your voice. You look around the courtroom. It's empty, except it isn't. In the witness stand, a girl, hair damp, eyes wide, wearing your coat, holding a photograph. She opens her mouth. and your voice comes out. It was never about the truth, it was about control, and you've already given it away. The door that wasn't there yesterday. You leave the courtroom fast, too fast. The world outside blurs for a second, edges warped, sounds muffled, like you've ducked beneath the surface of a still lake where memory floats and truth sinks. You stumble into the corridor, breathing hard. Your voice is still in the room behind you, still speaking, still testifying. Without you, you don't wait to hear the end, because part of you already knows how it ends. You turn left, toward the main exit, but the hallway is longer now. Again, at the end a door. It's metal, rusted, unmarked. You've walked this corridor 100 times and have never seen it before, but now it's the only thing here. You approach. Something in your chest tightens. Not fear exactly, more like recognition. Like you've walked through this door before. In another version of this life, you place your hand on the knob, cold, but pulsing, like it's waiting for your touch. You open it and step into a room filled wall to wall with boxes. Not cardboard, not modern, wooden, iron latched, sealed with wax and string, each one labeled. Trial names, dates, witness numbers. You walk the aisle, read the labels, then freeze. Box 317B, your name. Not just your name, your handwriting. You kneel, reach for the latch. It's already unlocked. Inside cassette tapes, dozens, and at the bottom, a single Polaroid photograph. You pull it free. It's a shot of you standing at the stand again, but the image is older, faded, like it was taken 10 years ago. You're wearing the same coat you're wearing now. In your hand in the photo is the glove, the one that fits you perfectly. In the background, Lena, watching, smiling. Not the bitter smile you remember from court, but something softer, sad, as if she's already read the ending. You check the date on the back of the photo, March 19th, 2015. You weren't even involved in a trial then. You weren't even a juror. You were just a reporter. Weren't you? Weren't you? You knew, but pretended you didn't. You reach back into the box, find a small black notebook. No title, but every page is filled with your handwriting. Dreams, memories, flashbacks, but some pages are redacted, crossed out violently, whole weeks missing. You flip to the final entry. They told me to lie, but I never had to. I just said nothing, and the world folded around the silence. You hear something shift behind you. You turn. At the far end of the room, a figure stands beneath the bare hanging light. No face, no name tag, just a coat like yours, and in their hand, a new folder. They place it on the floor and disappear into the dark. You walk toward it, open it. This one's not full of paper. It holds only a mirror, small, cracked, same one you saw in the glove. You lift it, and in the reflection, a courtroom, empty seats, a jury box with one person in it. You, only you're older, eyes dim, hands shaking, reading from the same notebook. You lower the mirror. The room is empty, but the folder is gone. So is the box, and on the wall behind you, scrawled in faint chalk, you testified already. They just never told you what for. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. You back away, find the hallway again. The door is gone, like it never existed. You step into the nearest elevator. There's only one floor button beneath. You press it. It was never about the truth. It was about control. And you're descending into what you've already said again. The room with no walls. The elevator doesn't jolt. It sinks quietly, like a memory being buried without a funeral. The fluorescent light overhead flickers once, twice, then fades completely. Total darkness, except for the red glow of the beneath button, pulsing like a dying heart. You don't remember pressing it, but it remembers you. When the doors slide open, there's no hallway, no signage, no sterile tiles, just fog, thick, low, rolling in lazy spirals around your feet. You step forward, and the world goes silent behind you. It's not just dark here, it's absent. The fog parts around your legs, revealing a circular space that's neither room nor tunnel, more like a stage stripped of its play. No walls, no ceiling, just an oppressive dome of gray. In the center, a desk, familiar, yours, the same one from your apartment, same scratches, same ink stains, except behind it sits you or something wearing your face. It doesn't move, doesn't breathe, but its eyes track you, and on the desk in front of it, a transcript, stamped unsworn statement, inadmissible. You reach for it, and the second your fingers touch the paper, the fog exhales, and you remember the missing hour, the one that vanished before Eli disappeared. You were called to the station, told Lena had made accusations, told Markson had alibis, told the case was thin, but you saw the bruises, you saw the girl flinch, you wrote a report, but you never submitted it. You told yourself it wouldn't help, that it might confuse the case, but the truth, you didn't want to be involved. Not really, because if you were, you'd have to testify. You'd have to choose a side. And back then, you weren't ready. You knew, but pretended you didn't. The figure behind the desk stands slowly, picks up a second transcript, places it beside the first. This one is stamped sealed by witness request. Your name is at the top. You flip to the final page. A signature, not yours. Eli's, the line beneath it. He let me disappear because it was easier than remembering. You step back. The desk is gone. So is your reflection. In its place, a chair, wooden, high-backed, facing a screen that materializes from the fog. A courtroom projection, only the cameras pointed at you, watching you read what you've written. The voiceover begins. It's your voice, reading from a document that's been erased, sentence by sentence, until only one line remains. He was present at the scene. He said nothing. He did nothing. Your breath hitches. The fog rises around your knees. The lights dim to black again. And just before it all vanishes, you see a door appear. Small, narrow, flickering at the edges, like it doesn't want to be here. Etched across the top, one more version left. You open it and walk into your apartment, but it's different. The light is wrong. The air is stale. The mirror is cracked. And someone's written on the bathroom wall in marker, "Everyone lied on the stand, except the one who should have." Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. You lean in close. Underneath the message, in your own handwriting. And now it's your turn. It was never about the truth. It was about control. And you're not sure who's in control anymore. The mirror that answered back. The apartment smells like stale paper and something older, something feral. Dust drifts through the shafts of light, like it remembers you, like it's been watching the door, counting the days since you last opened it. But here's the thing, you never left, at least not in this version. You step into the bathroom. The mirror is cracked straight through the center, like a spine snapped under too many revisions. The marker writing is still there. Everyone lied on the stand except the one who should have. You stare at it, then at yourself, but the reflection stares harder, longer, It doesn't blink when you do, doesn't mimic you. It just waits. Your phone buzzes again. A new notification. Voice recording received. 0:11 seconds. No sender, no app. You press play. It's Eli. You recognize her voice immediately. Soft, trembling. I didn't want to lie, but he said if I didn't, you'd disappear too. A beat. Then he said you already had. The file ends. You drop the phone. You hear your reflection laugh. Not loud, just enough to suggest it knows more than you do. You move closer to the mirror. Your breath fogs the glass. The fog forms a shape. A name. Not yours. Daniel. Underlined twice. You wipe it away with your sleeve. The crack deepens. Another line appears. This time, inside the mirror, not on it. Etched from the other side. You remember now. You whisper it aloud. And something inside you shifts. A floodgate breaks. Images pour in. Eli sobbing on your couch. Lena begging you to tell the truth. Daniel in your apartment, handing you an envelope. You don't have to lie, he said. You just have to not speak. That's all. And you agreed, not because you were afraid, but because you wanted peace. You wanted quiet. You chose silence like it was some noble act of neutrality. But silence isn't neutral. It's loaded. And now it's back for repayment. You knew, but pretended you didn't. You open the medicine cabinet. Inside a cassette recorder. You recognize it. The same one used in court years ago. The one they placed in front of every witness. A note is taped to it. Typed. Clipped from a transcript. Witness was sworn but refused to answer. No objection. No recollection. You press play. Your own voice. Flat. Mechanical. I don't recall. I don't recall. I don't recall. Each repetition grows louder until the mirror cracks again, and this time shatters, but it doesn't fall. Instead, a new reflection forms. A courtroom, but the gallery is filled with mirrors, not people. And in every reflection, 20 versions, each one seated differently, each one holding a transcript, each transcript with a different outcome. In one, Daniel is convicted. In another, Lena. In yet another, you. In the far corner, one reflection stands, steps forward, points to you, and mouths a word. Testify. The mirror world begins to fracture, piece by piece, like the courtroom itself is breaking under the weight of so many versions of you refusing to speak. Your voice returns, raw, shaky, real. You look into the largest fragment and say it out loud. I saw him that night. I said nothing, and I watched her disappear. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. The mirror releases you. And for a moment, just one, you feel the weight of all the silence you ever thought was harmless. It was never about the truth. It was about control. And silence was the most dangerous answer of all. They knew before you did. You sit on the edge of your bed, the room dim to that hollow twilight that seems to exist only in places where confessions go to die. The mirror's gone, shards swept away, or maybe just erased as if the room decided you weren't ready to look anymore. Your coat is folded neatly at your feet. You didn't fold it. The folder from the courthouse lies open beside you. A photograph balanced on top your face mid-testimony, eyes vacant. It looks like a man trying to vanish inside his own body. A knock at the door, not loud, just certain. You freeze. It's the kind of knock that's not asking permission, just marking a moment. You open the door slowly. No one is there. Only a box, small, taped, wrapped in a typewritten label. Returned property Exhibit C. Custodial error. You bring it inside. Your hands are already shaking before the lid's off. Inside, a voice recorder. Not digital. Old. Worn. A strip of masking tape across the side labeled March 17th. Deposition. Raw. Audio. You don't remember giving a deposition on March 17th. But that's the thing, isn't it? What you remember was always optional. You press play. Static. Then a voice. Yours. No, I didn't see her that night. A pause. The scrape of a chair. A cough. Then another voice. Lena. He did. He stood by the road. Watched her run past. He saw everything. Your voice again. Shaky now. That's not true. Another pause. Then the interviewer. Would you be willing to take a polygraph? Laughter. Your laughter? No need. I wasn't involved. The recording stops. You rewind. Replay. Same voices. Same denial. Same casual chuckle. But this time, at the end, something new. A whisper layered under the static. They knew before you did. You lean back. Let that sentence burn itself into your brain. Because now you understand. You weren't protecting anyone. Not Daniel, not Lena, not Eli. You were protecting the version of yourself that wanted to believe silence was mercy. That complicity could be disguised as compassion. You stand and pull open your closet. There, in the back, the briefcase, still locked, still heavy. You place it on the table. Dig into your pocket for the old brass key from the courthouse. It fits. It clicks. You open it. Inside a sealed envelope marked, not to be opened unless acquitted. You hesitate. Because he was acquitted. You tear it open. Inside a one-page letter. No salutation. Just one paragraph. If you're reading this, I'm already gone. You were never meant to carry this, but you did. I saw you that night, not just watching, recording. Maybe you forgot. Maybe that's how you live with it. But you were the last person she spoke to. You are the missing piece, and you always were. There's a second note clipped to the bottom. A question, typed, simple, sharp. Would you lie again if no one ever found out you knew, but pretended you didn't? The window rattles behind you. You glance out. A woman stands across the street, hair damp from rain, scarf red. You know that scarf. She's holding a tape recorder. She doesn't wave. She just mouths something. 3 words. Tell them now. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. You reach for the recorder again, but the tape's already spinning. And this time, you're not sure what version of your voice it's playing. It was never about the truth. It was about control. And the evidence has always lived inside you. You were on the jury. Twice. You wake before dawn. Not from sleep, but from something else. A shift, a verdict being delivered somewhere inside you. You sit up. The recorder is still playing, but there's no sound. Just a soft static, like a heartbeat too quiet to track. Your phone lights up. An email, subject line RE, change of testimony, case 177B. No sender, no thread history. You open it. One line. We reviewed your juror card. You signed it twice. You blink. The room stretches. Or maybe your memory does. Because suddenly, you remember being there. In the jury box. In the seat closest to the exit. You remember the bailiff handing out cards. You remember hesitating. Then raising your hand again. Not because you had something new to say, but because you couldn't not. The screen flickers. A PDF opens on its own. Juror roll call. Court date, March 22nd. Your name appears twice. One listing as juror number 3. The second is alternate. But both have your signature. Same pen stroke, same tilt on the R, same lie embedded in the curl of the Y. You weren't just a witness. You weren't just a reporter. You weren't just a friend. You were the jury. And you voted both ways. You remember now the first time you voted guilty. The second time you changed it. Because Lena begged you to reconsider. Because the evidence felt too clean. Because Daniel smiled at you too soon. You knew, but pretended you didn't. You closed the email, and beneath it, a new folder appears on your desktop, titled simply Exhibits. Inside a photograph of the juror room, you're in it, twice. A scan of your dual signature, a transcript of a closed-door conversation. We can't let them know he served twice. Just seal the second form. No one checks these. What about the girl? She's not coming back. You don't know who said those words, but you know who signed off. At the bottom, Judge Miles Kettering. You scroll further. An audio file marked Final Testimony, leaked version. You press play. Lena's voice, strained. He said he didn't remember seeing Eli, but I was there. I saw him watch her leave, and he watched Daniel follow. He just stood there, didn't move, didn't help. A pause. Then, you think testifying is about truth? It's not. It's about permission, and he never gave himself that. Silence. Then, a mechanical click tape ending. You try to stand, but something holds you still. It's guilt, not fresh, not sharp, the settled kind. The kind that's grown roots while you've been playing versions of yourself who didn't know better. But now you do. And knowing changes everything. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. You reach for the pen on your nightstand. Write a single line on the notepad beside your bed. Do not trust my silence. It's already been used against me. It was never about the truth. It was about control. And no one controlled you more than the part of yourself that stayed seated. The missing testimony was yours. Your breath fogs the apartment windows as the morning light rolls in gray, thin, like it's been diluted by something older than time. You sit at your desk, the voice recorder beside you, its tape long finished. Just a slow click every few seconds as it rewinds itself over silence. You stare at your computer screen. A single document is open, untitled, blank. The cursor blinks, but the page already knows what you're going to write. You don't. Not yet. Your phone pings a text from an unknown number. We are reopening the case. Someone came forward. They say you were the last one to speak with her. You want to reply, to deny, clarify, excuse, but you don't. Because this time, even you don't believe your own uncertainty. You open the drawer beside you. Inside, the torn photograph, the one with Eli's face. You never found the other half. But now, it's here, on your desk, placed gently, perfectly, like it floated down from a verdict. The full photo shows the three of you, Eli, Daniel, and you. No courtroom, just a hallway, a moment before the storm. Your arm around her shoulder, her eyes wide, untrusting, but hoping. Daniel standing too close behind, not looking at her, looking at you. You remember now. She whispered something right after the photo was taken. Soft, afraid. Will you tell them? If I don't make it. You didn't answer. Not because you didn't care, but because you thought she was exaggerating. You thought no one would believe her anyway. You thought staying out of it meant staying safe. You knew, but pretended you didn't. The cursor on your screen blinks again, and now you begin to type. Statement of voluntary testimony, date Today's date. Name. Yours. You pause. Then write the first sentence. I was present at the courthouse the day Lena accused Daniel Markson of threatening her and her daughter. You breathe. Keep going. I did not disclose that Eli came to me first, that she told me what he did, that she was terrified, that I advised her to stay calm and not escalate things. I believed I was helping. I was not. Line after line pours out, not just memory, but ownership. You reach a section that demands a title missing testimony. You freeze because you finally realize it wasn't someone else's. It was yours. The whole time. The piece of the puzzle that never surfaced in court, that never made it to the record. Not because it was lost, but because you hid it. In forgetfulness, in fear, in plausible deniability. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. You save the document. Attach it to a new email. Subject line addendum to case 107 B. You hesitate again. Then click send. It's out of your hands now. You close your laptop and sit back. The world doesn't end. The walls don't collapse. But something inside you does shift. Just a little. Like maybe for the first time you've stopped spinning the clock backward. You hear a knock at the window. Not the door. The window. You walk over. No one there. Just a white envelope taped to the outside glass. You retrieve it. Inside. A copy of your sworn testimony already formatted. Already dated. With one sticky note attached. You finally spoke. Let's see if they listen. It was never about the truth. It was about control. And maybe, just maybe, speaking was the only way to take it back. The surveillance footage. They never showed. 2 days later, the email arrives. Encrypted. Marked confidential review. By request only. The sender, Internal Affairs, Court Archives Division. You stare at it longer than necessary. Your finger hovering over the mouse like it knows pressing play means pressing through. You click the link. It opens a secure video file. Title: Courtroom 2B, March 17th. Jury Deliberation Room. Surveillance footage. Suppressed. The screen is black at first, then static. Then the frame stabilizes. A windowless room. A long table. Water pitchers. Legal pads. You count 12 people seated around the table. The jurors. And there on the left, you, older than you remember being then. Eyes tired. Lips pressed shut. There's no audio. But it doesn't matter, because the body language is clear. Lena's voiceover comes in, faint, as if remembering it alongside you. He didn't say much, but everyone followed his lead, like he knew something we didn't. Your on-screen self gestures slowly, points to a folder, slides it to the foreperson, then leans back, silent. The room is still, until a woman across from you begins to nod. Then another, a chain reaction of agreement. No arguments, no charts, no real deliberation, just a choice. You pause the footage because something doesn't add up. You don't remember being that confident. You don't remember presenting evidence. But the file continues playing. The timestamp jumps. 27 minutes. Everyone's gone, except you, still seated, alone, looking straight at the camera. Then you raise your hand, point to your own head, and smile. Just once, too soon. The screen freezes. You rewind it, rewatch. The same smile, the same glance, and then something chilling. The date on the corner of the screen reads March 17, 2018, a full year before the trial was even set. You double check, check again. It's not a typo. You were in that deliberation room before the case existed. You closed the video, checked the folder, metadata, file created March 18, 2014, filed under jury nullification, containment status, sealed, experimental. Your head spins because now you see it for what it is. You weren't a juror by mistake. You were placed because someone knew you wouldn't speak, because someone knew silence would serve them better than any verdict. You return to your desk, pull the drawer open. Inside the transcript of your voluntary testimony, you flip to the final page. There's a post-it you don't remember placing, but it's written in your handwriting. Don't trust what you remember, trust what you regret. And suddenly, it's all there. You weren't just a reporter, you weren't just a witness, you were the fulcrum, the one chosen to tip the balance without ever touching the scale. You knew, but pretended you didn't. You hear the voice recorder click again, but you never pressed play. The tape unspools on its own. A voice fills the room. Yours. I voted guilty. Then I voted not guilty. But I never voted for her. The static swells, and beneath it, another voice layers in. Eli, they asked the wrong question. They should have asked, who watched me disappear? The screen of your laptop flickers. New file received. Name, truth, final, move. The icon pulses, red, like a wound, like it's still bleeding. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. You press play, but the video doesn't begin with the courtroom. It begins with your front door, opening, and someone Eli Lena. You walking in, camera shaking, footsteps echoing, and over it all, a timestamp, 1 minute into the future. It hasn't happened yet. It was never about the truth. It was about control. And now, the story is trying to write itself before you do. The story that rewrote itself. The video keeps playing. Your apartment, your floorboards, your coat still on the chair. But you're not holding the camera. Someone else is. Breathless, shaky. They pan across the room, your desk, your laptop, the open drawer with the envelope from Internal Affairs, and then, slowly, the camera tilts to the mirror, cracked, again. But this time, there's no reflection. Only a wall of text across the surface, typed, faint, backwards. You pause the video and step toward the real mirror. Same thing. You breathe across it. And there it is. You're not the author. You're the evidence. The words smear as condensation trails down the glass. You open the bathroom cabinet, heart racing, half expecting a new cassette, a new envelope, some other piece of your life that's been left for you like a breadcrumb. But it's empty. Until you see the writing on the inside of the cabinet door, etched lightly with a blade. Final draft, not yet approved. Your head pounds. Your pulse stutters. You return to your desk. The video's still running. But now the voice recorder your recorder is playing too. Only you never touched it. The tape inside clicks once, then rolls, and your voice recorded. Distance says, she told me the story wasn't hers to tell anymore. She said someone else had taken the pen, that her version had been replaced. You rewind the tape. Listen again. The phrasing isn't casual. Her version had been replaced. Like this is a script. Like you've been speaking lines you never wrote. You look at your laptop screen. The truth, final, move window has minimized itself, replaced by a blinking cursor. New file opened, transcript reconstruction. Subject, your full name. Line 1. He believed he was innocent until the story made him guilty. You scroll, line after line, all written in second person, all detailing things you haven't done yet. places you haven't gone, people you haven't spoken to. One entry stands out. You visit Lena's house at 4:32 p.m. She's already waiting. She knows what you're about to say, and she forgives you before you ask. You glance at the clock, 4:20 p.m. You stand, grab your coat. The photograph from the file slips out. You pick it up. This time it's Lena, not in the courtroom, but in a hallway. She's holding a photo of you. You place the picture in your pocket and leave the apartment. Outside, the world feels scripted. The same man walks the dog across the street. Same cough, same jacket, same rhythm. You look up. The billboard above your building reads, "Trial ends when someone tells the truth." Underneath, March 17th, hearing resumes. But you already gave your statement. Didn't you? You walk faster. Every shadow feels like a redaction, every corner like a cutscene. And then you reach Lena's house. You haven't seen her since the verdict. Or maybe you never saw her afterward at all. You knock. One time, two. She opens the door without hesitation. No anger, no shock, just tired eyes and an envelope in her hand. She offers it before she even speaks. It's the original. You take it. Open it slowly. Inside, a transcript of a recorded testimony. Eli's voice. It was never played in court, never entered into evidence, because you never turned it in. You scan the page, and halfway down he didn't touch me, but he didn't stop it either. That's why I ran. That's why I don't exist anymore. The page ends, not with a signature, but with a question. If no one writes the ending, does the story ever stop? You look at Lena, and she says it softly. You weren't just in the story. You were the story. You knew, but pretended you didn't. You nod, and finally, for the first time, you speak. I'm ready to testify again. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. But this time, your voice is the interruption. It was never about the truth. It was about control. And now, you're about to steal the pen back. The testimony they tried to bury. Lena hands you the envelope like it's an object charged with voltage. And maybe it is because the moment your fingers touch it, a spark runs up your wrist and into your spine. Memory tastes metallic in your mouth, bitter, sharp. You step inside her house. The lights are dim, as if they've learned not to reveal too much. Books stacked against the walls, unopened letters, an ashtray with a cigarette that's long since burned out. It smells like closed windows and unresolved questions. She gestures to the table. There's a tape recorder already sitting there, the same model from the courtroom. She presses play. Eli's voice drifts out calm, precise, like she knows exactly what she's doing. I asked him not to say anything, but I also asked him to remember, and he promised. You grip the edge of the table. Your own promise. Forgotten. Rewritten. No. Buried. The tape clicks, and Lena replaces it with another. This one unlabeled. She looks at you. No words. You nod. She presses play again. Your voice. From a deposition you don't remember giving. But it's you. The same cadence. Same hesitation. She said he followed her. That he waited outside the school. That he left her notes. I wrote it down. I didn't know what to do with it. The interviewer, unheard, must ask something. Because you respond, shaking no. I didn't report it. Because I didn't want to be involved. Another beat. Because I knew I wouldn't follow through. You press pause. I need to take this to the court. You whisper. Lena watches you. I already did, she says. Your stomach tightens. What do you mean? She opens her laptop, shows you a screen, a live broadcast, courtroom 2B, Judge Miles Kettering at the bench, Daniel at the defense table. You at the witness stand, but not you now. You from the past, a version you don't remember being, a version mid-testimony, saying everything, all of it, verbatim, from your sealed transcript. He told me she was lying. I chose to believe him. That makes me complicit. You shake your head. I never said that in court. Lena nods. I know. That's the problem. You lean in, squint at the screen. The date on the bottom corner reads March 17, 2018, 10 years ago, before the case was even public. And yet, it's you, testifying. Lena closes the laptop. That's the footage they buried. The one no one wanted on record. You blink. Then, how do we have it? She pulls out a flash drive. This copy was meant for Eli. She made them record it. You stare at the drive. Small, innocent looking, but heavier than anything you've held before. You take it, place it in your coat pocket, and for the first time in years, you feel something shift, as if the silence inside you is finally cracking. You look at Lena. What happens when I bring this in? She shrugs. That depends on whether they believe you're a new witness or the one who lied first. You knew, but pretended you didn't. You stand, head for the door, one hand on the knob, one on the flash drive, your breath shallow and charged. She says your name before you go, soft, almost forgiving. Then they won't ask you why you stayed silent. They'll ask you what finally made you stop. You nod, because you know the answer now. It wasn't justice. It wasn't redemption. It was her. Eli. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. But some truths write themselves into the silence, waiting to be heard. It was never about the truth. It was about control. And you're finally ready to lose control for the truth. The truth was never missing, just ignored. The courthouse smells like old wood, cold stone, and 1,000 untold stories. You step inside, coat damp from the rain, flash drive in your pocket like a loaded verdict. Security waves you through. You don't show credentials. You don't need to. You're expected. Courtroom 2B is nearly empty, but it hums, the kind of hum that lives beneath the skin, between walls, under floorboards, like secrets being rehearsed. Judge Miles Kettering presides again, same bench, same glasses, same eyes that once looked through you like you weren't worth remembering. You make sure he remembers now. You walk to the clerk's desk, slide the flash drive across. Her fingers tremble when she takes it. She doesn't ask what's on it. She knows. Everyone here knows something. They just pretend not to. That's the game. The court administrator steps forward, whispers something into the judge's ear. He nods once, and for the first time in this whole case, you're summoned to speak voluntarily. You take the stand. No shackles, no subpoenas, just conscience. The clerk swears you in. Your voice doesn't shake when you say, I do. The judge clears his throat. You've submitted new evidence. You nod. Yes, Your Honor. And why now? You pause, because the answer is the story, the real one, the one no one ever wanted to write. So you say it aloud, because I was the last one who saw her, because I let her walk away alone, because I stayed silent. And that silence was used as protection, not for her, but for him. You glance at Daniel. He doesn't meet your eyes, but Lena does from the gallery. Steady, steeled. Judge Kettering leans forward. Is it true you served on both the original jury and as a witness? Yes. And that you knowingly withheld your testimony? Yes. A beat. Then, why should the court believe you now? You grip the edge of the stand. Because it matters. Because it has to. Because truth doesn't expire. just because it's inconvenient, because silence doesn't equal innocence, because the truth was never missing, just ignored. The clerk inserts the flash drive. Video plays on the courtroom screen. Your old deposition, your missing statement, the scene of Lena handing over the envelope, Eli's voice layered over it all. He said he wasn't involved, but he watched, and that was enough. The room is silent. No gavel, no whispering, just the sound of a tape finally finding its end. You knew, but pretended you didn't. Now the pretending is over. You step down, walk past Daniel, his jaws tight, his hands clasped, but he says nothing, just like you once did. And that silence condemns louder than any testimony ever could. Lena meets you outside. No hug, no words, just presence. A quiet kind. The kind that says, finally, everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. But not today. Today, the truth wasn't lost. It was delivered. It was never about the truth. It was about control. And you've surrendered control to something larger, accountability. When the verdict comes too late, the courthouse is still. You remain seated in the back row. Hours after the closing bell, the gavel dropped. The transcript closed. The court emptied like a wound that finally stopped bleeding. But you stay, because part of you still waits for someone to say it wasn't enough. And maybe it wasn't. Judge Kettering never said thank you. The clerk avoided your eyes. Daniel was escorted out, expressionless. Lena left with a nod. No goodbye. You're not a hero. You're a witness, a flawed one, a late one. But this time, you spoke, and now the silence isn't yours to carry anymore. You watch the janitor sweep the gallery, pausing near the witness box. He finds something, bends down, picks it up, a cassette tape, unlabeled. He pockets it, unaware he's holding the last lie no one dared to erase. You exit the courtroom into dusk. It's raining again. It always rains when the truth is inconvenient. You pull your coat tighter, walk to the corner diner across the street, the one Eli used to talk about. Cheap coffee, quiet booths, the kind of place where memories wait patiently for you to be ready. You slide into the corner booth, order coffee. Black. You reach into your pocket and find the torn photo. Only it's no longer torn. Whole now. Eli, you, and Lena frozen in time before any of this happened. You flip it over. There's something scrawled in marker on the back. The verdict isn't what the court says. It's what you live with. You let the words sit. Let them burn. Then your phone buzzes. A news alert. Breaking Internal Affairs opens inquiry into courtroom jury. Tampering. You don't smile, but something in you unclenches. Like maybe, this time, the story won't rewrite itself. It'll remember. You knew, but pretended you didn't. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. But you didn't lie this time. You just arrived late to the stand. It was never about the truth. It was about control. But truth, once spoken, has a way of unspooling control like old tape. You pay the bill, step back into the rain, and walk without a script for the first time in years.